Hey guys, welcome back to Mondays at the Museum. I'm Carrie and I'm here at the Anna Bemis Palmer Museum in York, Nebraska. So, we do have a lot of items currently on display included in this A Century in Style fashion display. And at the very end of the display, we have two kind of scene areas a little bit. There's one on Prohibition and then there's one filled with items from around the world. And today I'm going to take you around the world. So, starting with, here's the area as a whole. And then to break it down, so for the themes for these items is items literally from around the world, so not stuff that you're going to find here generally in York, Nebraska. Here on the left, we have a flight attendant jacket. So this is actually from Summer United Airlines. It was a flight attendant uniform jacket. It belonged to a Miss Judith Franson. Then we have this cape, or house coat kind of a thing. It was bought in Paris in 1880 and it belonged to a Mrs. A.J. Ryan, which I think is really cool. Moving on, we also have something from the McLeod family, kind of a big name here. It is a family tartan outfit. It was purchased in Scotland. It belonged to Doris Carlson, who is a descendant of the McLeod family there. And then another house coat over here. It's a Paisley house coat. It was bought in England in 1850, and it belonged to a William Halbert Alden. It's kind of crazy, the stuff that you'll find here in our collection. Moving on, of course, when we had to play Sophie's Choice on whose military uniform was going to be included in this around the world, we defaulted to our founder's husband, of course. So this military belongs to Orlando Gray Palmer. It was his World War I uniform from when he was in France in 1917 and 1918. He was a major in charge of the 320th Machine Gun Battalion. As being a major in that unit, he was in charge of 105 officers and 3,000 enlisted men. Also comes with his World War I boots. And speaking of shoes, here on the left, shoes from Japan, gold velvet with red lining. Here on the right, more shoes from Japan, gold velvet with black lining. And then these are actually Swedish wooden-soled shoes. They were made by A.J. Johnson after he came to this country, but they are kind of Swedish, I guess. Very different. And then the last two items are kind of highlight items from our collection. They're from 1912. So there was a lady who was born overseas but raised in Henderson, Nebraska. Somehow she met and married a Russian count. I don't know how that happened. I would love to know how that happened. Henderson, Nebraska, to marry a Russian count. But when you get married to a Russian count, you had to go and be presented. So here on the left, this black one, it is lace. It is handmade in Berlin. At the time that she bought it, it cost her $1,000. Now, in 1912, $1,000, obviously a pretty big chunk of change. When you do the inflation math, that today is about $36,000. Look at how intricate that is. So again, handmade. She wore it when she was presented to the Kaiser at the German court in 1912. Super detailed. And then here on the right, we have this pink one. So it is a pure silk chiffon dress. It was made in Paris, and then she wore this, also 1912, when she was presented to the Russian court. Check that out. So again, these items belong to Marie Reimer. She and her husband, the Russian Count Peter, lived in York for 4 or 5 years before relocating to Kansas City. So just really cool stuff that you wouldn't think that you would find in a basement in York County. And that's a quick tour of our Around the World section. Just a quick reminder, these are our upcoming events. Next up is on June 30th, which is a Monday. We're hosting Sue McLean from Humanities Nebraska. She's going to talk about the history of wedding dresses. And then after that, July 26th at the City Auditorium from 3 to 4, we are hosting the First Nebraska Volunteers Brass Band. See you next week.